please tell the president this is a bad deal. He can reconfigure it. He can get a better company which has got respect, which is respected globally. If he can't get Emirates or Qatari, he can get Etihad. We understand that they are bilaterals. We understand, I worked in foreign affairs. We know that there are certain arrangements and agreements the president can sign to benefit the country. Please tell him this thing is a stinker. Let's do it within the law. Kenyans are really upset with what is going on right now. And please, whatever you saw happening at that airport, don't take it for granted. Those people are very, very upset. Their lives are in jeopardy. You're talking about 5,000, 6,000 people. Nobody knows what this agreement is. Simplify it. Bring it to this committee. Give them a program. Tell them, look at this agreement. This is what we are looking at. Who would say no? If you come and tell me, like Rwanda, we have resuscitated KQ with 50 or 60 aeroplanes. We have paid the debt that KQ has. You are going to pay our workers who are destitute in that airline, and you are setting up Nairobi to be a hub. Which airline are you going to use to build the numbers that you want? We don't have an airline. You haven't solved the KQ problem. I beg you that this is a matter that Kenyans have taken very seriously. And thank you, sir, for listening to us.
Thank you very much. Let me have Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. In closing, Honorable CS Chirchir, I'm sure by now you know that the problem with the government in which you serve is not a communication problem. It is a credibility problem. Nobody trusts this government. And even with your best intentions, you have to work to restore the credibility of the government and public trust in the government that you serve in. Number two, if you can see, the reason why there's a trust deficit is not an accident. Your own minutes from KA, as we have been taken through here, have identified the fact that there are many competing interests, and they have to be vendor-driven interests within government. So Kenyans have every right, Honorable Chair, to be suspicious of this deal. Thirdly, Honorable CS, let me disabuse you of this notion that there are stakeholders in JKIA or in our airports distinct from the people of Kenya. The stakeholders in JKIA are the 55 million of us. You cannot have a small meeting somewhere in a corner, then claim that you have had conversations with stakeholders. Stakeholders in this particular case are the 55 million Kenyans. And the fact that there was a lack of disclosure, and I think the committee will be making a recommendation that we make an amendment to the law on PPP. Immediately somebody arrives at your office, Honorable CS, with a so-called privately initiated proposal. Within 48 hours, you must disclose that that email has come to your email account. Otherwise, you are not going to be able to move forward with this. There are serious integrity concerns with the company itself, and of course with the government that is proposing to go ahead with this particular project. Honorable CS, you know what happened to the finance bill. You know the sort of furor that it brought about. I can compare the objections to the Adani deal to that where we were with the finance bill. At this particular moment in time, even with your best efforts, and I know you are a very, what is the word? Yes, you are somebody who puts in effort. But I can assure you, CS, it doesn't matter how you explain this deal, the people's mind is made up on Adani. Please, abandon this deal. We will lose nothing. Go back to the position that had been taken by Cabinet as expressed by the then Transport CS Murkomen when he appeared before the Senate, that we will put out an international expression of interests. Let this process be above board. In the development and upgrade of JKIA, this PIP model is not going to be available for the government of Kenya. Put it out there in the public. Let people apply. Let the process be open. Let everybody see what proposals are coming from where. I do not agree.
JKIA. And I want to speak this. Yesterday I had Davis Chirichiri, the CS of Transport. It's like these people are determined to auction this country, to auction this JKIA totally 100%. And they know once they confuse the Kenyans, then they know that they come in the parliament, it's going to be a walkover. Because they have taken over the parliament, they have monopolized the parliament. That's what they know. I was so surprised with the interview of Davis Chirichiri. And this is what led to the Gen Z, where the revolution was to come and happen in this country. I want to tell the President of the Republic of Kenya, Mheshimiwa William Ruto, that we respect you, but learn to listen from the Kenyans. Wewe ukisema ya kwamba ati hii airport unataka kuilease for another 30 years. 30 years, hata 30 years wakina nani hao watu wengi, mimi nitakuwa mzee. Sijui hata mimi sijui nitakuwa mzee, mimi nitakuwa mzee na wajukuu. Na so let us be, alafu mnataka compare yourself with the one for the expressway. Will you explain to our children that we leased Jkia that was built by our forefathers, our four leaders, kina Jomo Kenyatta, kina Kibaki, kina Moi of this country, eh? And even Uhuru Kenyatta, he built the terminals. Look at how beautiful it was. Look at the entrance the other side. And you want just to auction everything. We want to say this, mtuambie ndege gani ambayo imekataa haiwezi land hapa? Obama landed here, and many presidents of the nation of the world landed here at the here Jkia. Mtuambie ni nini ambayo, kwa sababu mmesema you don't want to start a new airport. Mnataka tu kuimprove nini? Mnataka kuimprove hapa technology, ni kitu unafanya hivi. Kama wanataka new airport, waende Kota City, waende Kajiado, wajenge kule international airport ambayo we can even say we have our engineers, architects, they can bring and modify this stuff here. Angalia ile, you cannot compare na hii express, because expressway ilibuildiwa a new project. Even Kenyans can say that this is a new. But sasa mnataka kuweka viraka alafu mtuambie ati mmesha sasa leta ati kujenga. Bwana, hiyo maneno tunataka kuambia kwamba Kenyans are watching, and Kenyans will not forgive us if we the people, if we the leaders, we are going to accept this nonsense that is going to happen here. Kwanza Wahindi ndio watu wengine okay, I don't know even what wakikuja hapa wanakuja na 70% of their people, they will be here at the Jkia. Where will our people go? So I want to stand in solidarity with the other Kenyans. That nonsense that they are speaking about, we are not going to accept it. We are not going to accept. Na hii maneno hii italeta shida hii Kenya. If they are going to do and try at Adani kusign deal, hatuwezi kuwa na nchi ya sijui brokers. Nchi haiwezi buildiwa na brokers everywhere, every department brokers. You have to sign a deal, kula pesa, and no way. Ni nini ambayo kuja and tell that we have achieved? Hapana, hiyo tumekataa. We have refused that one.
Isn't it a fact, CS, that this proposal is to take up the entire management of the entire airport? You are not setting up a new duty-free shop at a corner somewhere. They are taking up the entire Jkia, from management of the, what did you call, the aeronauticals, to parking, to everything, including the employees. Why are you creating this impression that you are hiving a small corner for them somewhere to do operations, and that KA will continue with management of Jkia? What is the correct position, CS?
Let me take some water, please.
Thank you, Waziri, and thank you, Chair.
Kitu ni ngumu bwana. Kitu ni mbaya.
Senator Nyonka, you're out of order.
What the proponent wants to come and put up is clearly illustrated. A new terminal, a runway based on trigger, refurbishing the existing terminal, and establishing what we call the rapid exit taxiways. Now, this will need to be decided. Are we putting up 140,000 square meter of terminal? Are we putting up 100,000 square meter of terminal?
That's not the question.
Jkia has 11,000 acres. If the proponent will want to come and put up, hotels in the city side, they will follow up the KA land lease policy. We are not giving out the entire 11,000 acres.
That's not the question, Chair. The question is management and operation of Jkia as an airport.
Yes.
From the aeronauticals to the parking areas, to all the businesses that are going on there. Who is going to be doing that management?
Yes, Adani is an operator. And that is why the model is build, operate, transfer. They will be running the Jkia.
Everything.
Yes.
That's what you should say. Thank you, Chair. I
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I hope he's still in the shape that you wanted him to be.
You know, Senator Sifuna is a learned friend.
Somebody show me 1 single kilometer that the government has done with 119 billion shillings, which has been given for the construction of roads. There's none. You can run through everything. I mean, look, I used this example the other day. How is it that when President Kibaki took over his leadership, he found 680 billion shillings? That was their collectible revenue. When he went to his second year is when he hit 700 billion. He ran the country. He paid the police. He paid the military. He paid doctors. He paid lecturers. I mean, Lynn, you know what I'm saying? Nobody complained that they were not being paid. Guess what happened? That is what one sector is now consuming. The Ministry of Education is allocated 636 billion shillings for one sector of our economy, which was previously running the whole government. Shouldn't that worry Kenyans?
Very.
Is there anything that has changed? I mean, have we changed our public schools from the status and condition they have been in to the level where they are the Makinis and the Riara? I mean, where the standard goes up?
Actually, they are worse.
They are worse. So the question I've been asking, where is this money going? And my conviction and belief is that because the structure is so broken, and I've been so lucky to sit, as I said, in the budget committee and also in the CPAC committee, which does the audits, it's when I started realizing that actually all the money, including to what Uhuru said previously and other leaders, Ouko said it before in his audits, half of your budget is actually budgeted corruption. The 3.4 trillion shillings budget that we're having is actually half of it is money where individuals sit down, plan on what to do, including the leadership. I'm talking about members of parliament, the Senate. I'm talking about everybody. It is a systematic, deliberate arrangement on kickbacking, on rewarding, on who benefits. Because everybody in government and everybody who's in political leadership in this country believes that the biggest company we have is a country called Kenya. They don't have to, you see all the money they're stealing. They don't want to open factories. They don't want to set up, they don't even want to set up schools, which they could also run, or hospitals for that matter. All that everybody is doing is picking all the money. Some of it you see being caught in Dubai. You've seen ministers being caught with $100 million in bags. And that is the sickness that has percolated in our system. And it is not just at the top. The top has just given the symbolism downwards. Live up there at the top where it is, come down to the National Assembly. Sometimes the judiciary is responsible. Sometimes they play the same game. Roll it down to the county governments. Governors are doing exactly what the national government players are doing. Go down from the governor's office, run it down to the members of the county assembly. When you tell an MCA, gentlemen and ladies, you know our job is to oversight the county government. Please, you are not supposed to go and get money from the governor, because the money that is already in the budget is enough for you to oversight and try and help our people. Nobody will listen to you. Because the purpose why we want to be senators, we want to be MPs, even want to be president, why we want to be in these positions, Lane, is simply because we believe government is the biggest employer, is the biggest business enterprise. That is where the 3.5 trillion is. And that is what everybody wants to take from there. And this is done by a number of less than 10,000 people in this country. That is where we are. So you have 48 million or 50, whatever number we've reached. And yet you have a cabal of about 10 people, middle class and upper class individuals, who deliberately, the job is to siphon out, is to take out the money. You see in Europe, Lynn, what Muzungus do, doing business has never really told anybody, has never been an issue. It has never been something you can't do in government. Only that for us, we killed chapter 6. instead of leaving rules which then would control our behavior in relation to what we do with this government, we loosened out Chapter 6. You saw the other day, there was a bill which was supposed to be passed on, I forget what we were calling it. Government should allow, even if you did business within government, there would be no conflict of interest law. We were trying to change that. And why are people trying to bring it to the floor of the House? Because they don't want, after he has stolen 100, 200 billion in a year, as I put a stop there and I've remembered, look at the people who are applying to get jobs in government. Some of them who are ministers, some of them who have been in government. Every individual, the amount of money they displayed 2 years ago when they were being cross-examined, when they were being interviewed, how does somebody make 100 million in a year? And he has no factory, he has no industry, he has nothing. And he actually openly declares it. What magic is that? I mean, some of the money that individuals are displaying in terms of their net worth and everything, you would think we are dealing with Safaricom. And yet, even Safaricom cannot give you 24 million or 16 million shillings to go and give in a church. So, do you see the frustration and the disappointment I have? I'm like, what has made Kenyans, particularly the ruling elite, to become the way they have? Then the other issue that I went deeper to look at is, why do we behave the way we do? Look at our culture. From independence, takes 10 years, Mzee Kenyatta gets out. There was still a disagreement between him and Jaramogi. All right. At that time, I am willing to be sympathetic and understand there were those ideological issues between the East and the West. Come down to the Moi issue. And then, of course, I didn't mention Murumbi and the other vice presidents who are there. Then you come to
Murumbi got sick.
Yes, then Murumbi got sick, and then Murumbi got out, and then Moi comes in. And then what does Moi do? Moi brings in his teams. But apparently, even with the Moi case, you still had disagreement between whoever that was his vice president. Look at Moi's behavior with Saitoti. Look at Moi's behavior with Kibaki. Look at Moi's behavior with Dr. Njoroge. You look at all these cases and you notice there was always a breakdown every 2 to 3 years. Actually, it was about when we were in the middle of our term of the 5-year period.
Actually, it's 2 years.
It's 2 years.
It's happening now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Then you leave Moi, then you have Kibaki coming in. During President Kibaki's term, at least Kalonzo managed himself quite well. And I think Kibaki handled him better. All right. And I believe it's because they had a relationship between both of them before that. But guess what? Once you had the coalition government, remember it was during Kibaki's time, the war between Kibaki and Raila started. Then you come into the elections, which were Uhuru's. William didn't wait for more than 2 years before he started campaigning. Then after that, William brought in this narrative that he's been closed out, he's not getting his opportunities, people from his area are not getting jobs and everything. Then you now fast forward, get out of Uhuru and President William and come to what is happening between Gachagua and William. And the same narrative is that you can see the trend. And my analysis is very simple. The disagreements, other than the first case during independence period of Mzee Kenyatta and Jaramogi, because they were discussing issues of how do you distribute the natural resources, what are you going to do with the land question, how are you going to handle the people who are displaced from their land in Central Province and certain areas of this republic. That was ideological. The rest, the disagreement have been about public resources sharing. That is why I was shocked when I heard my friend, who I really respect quite a bit, Gachagua, saying that this is actually a company and we are shareholders. And there are 2 shareholders, and the share was UDA, him, and the people who the president was representing. And Gachagua believed he also had a share for Central. And that narrative jolted me, because then it told me this is the dysfunctionality of our country. So first, you look at the infrastructure of the politics. But my argument is, it is more important for us to start looking at the software for our politics and the software how we manage public resources. Those two are linked. It is the politics that has broken down the system that we have in our republic, whereby the system is dysfunctional, where the most vulnerable are left on their own. When you don't find medicines in a dispensary, you actually end up blaming yourself. And yet, if you look at the amount of money we are spending and budgeting, it is shocking. So these are the things that have jolted me, and I reached a personal level and I said, by the way, what am I doing in the Senate if I cannot discuss these things? After all, the job description of a Senate is to provide oversight. And oversight is about talking about the dysfunctionality of whatever place that you are dealing with where you're oversighting. Now, where I'm oversighting is the national government and the county government, and these are the things I am seeing. And that is why I've always mentioned this, Lynn. Most people I meet who are on the other side pick it up. And sometimes they tell me, so why are you fighting our government and everything? And I tell them, I'm not fighting the government. I just want you to see what some of us are saying. If what we are saying is not true, come and say so. Like yesterday, I had one of my colleagues from Kisi community who was in a radio station, and he said, Onyonga is just lying about the airport. So I asked them, why are these guys demonstrating at the airport?
Actually, there's a go-slow right now.
Yes, if the story is not true, why is it not possible for the government to say, listen, you don't have to give a press conference to the Kenyan public. Come to the Senate and call members of parliament in the transport committee. Sit with us. Tell us what the agreement is saying. And what we are saying, we have got another a comparative discussion on what other countries have done. Look at what Rwanda has done. They went and got money from the Qataris.
Yes.
They have been given $2 billion to build a brand new airport. On top of that, because Kagame wants to make sure that Rwanda Air becomes a regional airline, which is strong and which has got enough lines, trips and everything. I told you I have a brother who's a pilot and he's been educating me on these things. And the Qataris gave Rwanda 40 aeroplanes on top of the $2 billion. And this is a debt which they have stretched to a period of 35 years. The question I'm asking anybody, how can you disagree with a deal like that if it comes out openly? Rwanda has made it public. Why is the Kenyan government refusing to make ours public?
Because we we discovered it before they could tell us their narrative, maybe.